Gurun Vaishnavanshan.
Hare Krishna. My name is Latika and I'm here to read Bhagavad-gita again. We are reading Bhagavad-gita's introduction by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada because Bhagavad-gita is a very good book, and I'm hoping you will find it as rewarding and interesting as I do. And the best way to enter into the Bhagavad-gita is to take advantage of the pointers given here by Srila Prabhupada. So this section of the introduction speaks about the five basic truths. I will read. Lord Krishna descends specifically to re-establish the real purpose of life when man forgets that purpose. Even then, out of many, many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding his position. And for him, Bhagavad-gita is spoken. Yes, him or her, as the case may be. Actually, we are all swallowed by the tigress of nescience. But the Lord is very merciful upon living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke the Bhagavad-gita, making his friend Arjuna his student. Yes, so this material world is a dramatical place. Sometimes we forget it. But these words, they are not exaggerations. We're asleep and we're swallowed up by the tigress of nescience. And here's how we wake up. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance, but Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Krishna about the problems in life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generation of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. Yes, we can have a mission in life. It's quite possible, but in order to have a mission, we need to make some decisions, and in order to make good decisions, we have to have some knowledge to base our decisions on. Then, of course, Krishna will say that in the very end of Bhagavad-gita. He says to Arjuna, now I have told you everything. Think about it and do as you like. But in order to be able to do as we like, we have to know what our options are and what is the basis, what our decisions will lead to. The subject of Bhagavad-gita entails the comprehension of five basic truths. First of all, the science of God is explained, and then the constitutional position of the living entities, the jivas. There is Ishvara, which means the controller, and there are jivas, the living entities, which are controlled. If a living entity says that he is not controlled, but that he is free, then he is insane. The living being is controlled in every respect, at least in his conditional life. So in the Bhagavad-gita, the subject matter deals with the Ishvara, the supreme controller, and the jivas, the controlled living entities. Prakriti, material nature, and time, the duration of existence of the whole universe, or the manifestation of material nature, and karma, activity, are also discussed. So these are the five truths. So if we ever come back to have a test on this, this is what we will ask. What are the five basic truths of Bhagavad-gita? So you can remember that if you like. The cosmic manifestation is full of different activities. All living entities are engaged in different activities. From Bhagavad-gita, we must learn what God is, what the living entities are, what Prakriti is, what the cosmic manifestation is, how it is controlled by time, and what the activities of the living entities are. Out of these five basic subject matters in Bhagavad-gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or the Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. The living beings are in quality like the Supreme Controller. For instance, the Lord has control over the universal affairs of material nature, as will be explained in later chapters of Bhagavad-gita. Material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. As Lord Krishna says, Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam, this material nature is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there is a controller. Nothing could be manifested without being controlled. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, a child may think that an automobile is quite wonderful to be able to run without a horse or other animal pulling it, but a sane man knows the nature of the automobile's engineering arrangement. He always knows that behind the machinery there is a man, a driver. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the driver under whose direction everything is working. Now the jivas, or the living entities, have been accepted by the Lord, and we will note in the later chapters as his parts and parcels. A particle of gold is also gold. A drop of water from the ocean is also salty. And similarly, we, the living entities, being part and parcel of the Supreme Controller Ishvara, or Bhagavan, Lord Sri Krishna, have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in minute quantity, because we are minute Ishvaras, subordinate Ishvaras. We are trying to control nature as presently we are trying to control space or planets, and this tendency to control is there because it is in Krishna. But although we have a tendency to lord it over material nature, we should know that we are not the Supreme Controller. That is explained in Bhagavad-gita. Yes, I got quite carried away because I think this is very interesting. So I would like to speak a little bit about these subjects. To understand the world, we will create categories. We will study aspects of it. We will study things from a certain angle. Anybody who does that, who does some kind of a work, who does some kind of research, knows that the first thing you have to do is you have to limit yourself, and you have to sharpen your focus by looking into it from a certain perspective. So when we look at this world, we can study it as a physicist or a biologist or geology, astronomy. There are so many sciences where you can go into the world. But here we want to adopt Krishna's perspective. We look at the word and we see the most important aspects of it. Ishvara, Krishna, God, who is the controller, without whom nothing moves, nothing happens, nothing is there. And we don't see him with our eyes, so we have to see him in a philosophical sense. So that's the Bhagavad-gita's philosophy, is there to guide us to that perspective. Ishvara, this is God. Jiva, this is us. Because we are here, and we are the persons who are looking and trying to understand and trying to figure out how to live. We are quite important in this equation, and it's quite important to understand who we are, what is our nature, and what is our position in this whole setup. Then we have Prakriti, which is Krishna's nature. We're saying that, we go out, it's so beautiful out in the nature. And then Prabhupada came here and he said, whose nature? Because nature is not just a neutral thing, it belongs to a person. And Krishna is that person, but these material elements, they have their own separate existence. They are also there. We speak about illusion, we will speak further on about in this world we have a certain illusion. The illusion is not that this world doesn't exist. The illusion is our perspective. How do we understand it? If we don't understand the connection to Krishna, and if we don't understand our position as eternal spirit soul, then we are in an illusion. But this world, it does exist. Kala, time. The time element is very mysterious. Who can understand time? Time, we can measure it. Now we have our hands on the clock, go all around. The year goes around as well. But to actually understand what time is a force. Time is pushing things into existence. Time is pushing us through our different experiences that we suffer or enjoy in this world. And there's not a lot we can do about it. So it is Krishna's, it's God's energy. And then we have karma, and everybody knows about karma. And karma is part of the philosophy. It's interesting, it's mysterious. But out of these elements, those first four, they are eternal. We will always be there. Karma, it's a part of this material world, and we can definitely also leave it behind. Yes. I will continue. What is material nature? This is also explained in Gita as inferior prakriti, inferior nature. The living entity is explained as the superior prakriti. Prakriti is always under the control, whether inferior or superior. Prakriti is female and she's controlled by the Lord, just as the activity of a wife are controlled by the husband. Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is the predominator. The living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. So, yeah, this is Sanskrit grammar. Purusha, that is the masculine form. Prakriti, that is the feminine form. And the example is given in a structure. In this world, we have God, and we have the living entities, and we have material nature. So Krishna is always completely independent. He creates things, he has his own separate spiritual nature, he engages with the living entities, and he's not bound by them. We, on the other hand, we are, especially in this world, we are completely bound up by this body, by the time element, by the karmic reactions. We have certain desires, and we have a certain level of independence, and that independence means we can make choices, we can decide what direction we want in life, but we cannot fully control the situation. We will wake up and we will have a cold, and we will have to stay at home and blow our nose all day and cough, because the body has just changed in that way. It is maybe winter, right now it is winter, very cold. We cannot just go out the door in our inside clothes, because we will freeze to death, and we don't want to freeze to death. And we cannot just with our mind decide it is not like that. No, this body, this world, it acts in a certain way. But Krishna is not controlled in that way. So that is the relationship. And it is not, how to say, it's definitely there, that relationship, but it is not, it's just not just a question of law, that God is the one who controls everything. It is a relationship between persons with a loving relationship. But in order to understand it, we like to also understand this kind of structure. Yeah, and the material nature is even less, is even more inferior, because it has no life. It is just elements that are built around us. We have bodies, we have chairs, we have houses. We can utilize them, but they have no will of their own. They have no personality as such. So there are two different natures. They are both coming from Krishna. This is clearly mentioned in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Yes, aparayamitastvanyam prakriting vidime param jiva bhutam. This material nature is my inferior prakriti, but beyond this another prakriti, jiva bhutam, the living entity. Material nature itself is constituted by 3 qualities: the modes of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Above these modes there is eternal time, and by a combination of these modes of nature and under the control and purview of eternal time, there are activities which are called karma. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruit of activities. Yes. So this is good to know. We live in this world, we take birth, we're tiny little babies, we don't know anything, and then we're picking up from around us, from our parents, from society, from our studies, and so on, a certain understanding of the world. And to an extent, this understanding is valid, and to an extent, it is limited. And therefore Krishna wants to give us in the Bhagavad-gita a better understanding. In this world, I know, I've been hearing classes of the Bhagavad-gita for many, many years, and I used to be, I used to be quite bored when we were talking about the 3 modes of material nature, because nature, qualities. Yes, let me hear something more about Krishna, the person, Krishna. But actually, as long as we live in this world, it's very good to understand how it works. It's very good to see how these modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they create different atmospheres. They create, they influence us in different ways. And when we have the knowledge, when we know, it's like when you have children, or even when you are a young person, you learn about drugs. And then some people are saying, drugs, they are fun. And then some more knowledgeable people are saying, yes, but drugs, they come with certain problems. And if you don't know about those problems, like in the 50s, we didn't know anything. We thought smoking was cool, and it was actually good for us because it helped us keep our weight down. I wasn't there in the 50s, so I shouldn't say we, but human beings, we see that. They were taking little pills to fall asleep and other little pills to be awake. And the doctors gave them to people, so they thought, this is fine. This is just medicine. Then we saw that people were developing addictions, and they were actually dying. We have many famous people who died, not because they were drug addicts as such, but because they didn't understand the nature of this one pill to wake up, and one pill to fall asleep, and one pill to have fun in between, and one pill to be calm and peaceful. And suddenly the body cannot handle it anymore and you die. So if a person is going to try to enjoy in that way, he doesn't only want to know about what is enjoyable, he also wants to know about the consequences and the results. And with the modes of nature, it's a little bit like that. If we get too involved in the lower modes of nature, we get entangled, and we lose some of our freedom for, peace, happiness, and spiritual advancement. And of course, not everybody is interested in peace, happiness, and spiritual advancement, but at least we can all have that knowledge, and then we can make better choices. Yes. So yes, these are big topics, and we will continue to discuss them. And this introduction is very interesting. Yes, I hope you found it interesting too. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang